Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for round 7, the penultimate round of the ISR AIC Season 2 in these glorious DTM cars that were produced by United Racing Design for this season. You can find them under the name URD T5. We are here for round 7. We're at Autopolis, a pretty big name in Japanese racing. Super GT, Super Formula, and International GT events all race here. It's a big Super GT track, so it felt fitting to put a Super GT track alongside the DTM cars, given the Super GT and DTM merge that is being worked on by the two series at the moment. Alongside me once again for round 7 is Zach Swerder. Hello Zach, how are you feeling ahead of round 7 today?
I'm feeling pretty confident about what's going to happen today. We got a great race lined up here at Autopolis, here just outside of the Kumitsu village. But yeah, as you said, it's a beautiful racetrack. It's sort of like a duck shape, if you could probably tell if you look on the track into Google Maps. Yeah, it's an interesting track here, and I think we're going to have a great race. If you saw last race out, we saw Nickel Foggy take the win here ahead of Gareth Lennon, so I think that was going to be a big spirit change for him. That was probably one of the greatest drives I've seen him do in quite a long time since the AIC started, so hopefully he can do a double repeat. But yeah, the point standings right now, Toby, it's getting a bit crazy right now.
Yeah, we're at the business end of the season now, looking at the points. Callum Spencer, I believe, goes into this round in the lead in terms of points. He's ahead, I believe. In second place is Nickel Foggy at the moment. Josh Martin, Douglas Anderson and Craig Evans are all still in the mix in terms of the battle, but of course they've only got this round and next time out at Hockenheim to do the points negotiating, so consistency is going to be key here, Zach.
Indeed, consistency is one thing that really keeps drivers going week in and week out. Just because you may not have the best finishes, you know, wins don't mean everything. It's all about getting those points finishes, so you always got to keep trucking and trucking. So the next 2 races are going to be really interesting here. But we got Autopolis today, Toby. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, Autopolis is going to provide us some great racing, I'm sure, and we'll find out how that racing will begin on the grid as we go take a look at qualifying. So, taking another pole position, his second in the AIC, Josh Martin will line up on P1. Very good chances of a win here today for the Pro Race UK driver looking to extend his title chances here today. He's ahead of Evan Imre, Boss Fizzy making a return to form for the first time since Season 1, lining up on the front row. Behind him is Douglas Anderson, another championship contender, having a podium start. He'll be wanting to get past Evan Imre and Josh Martin if he can. Charles McBee brings GTFG back to the second row for the first time in a long time. He's ahead of Nickel Foggy, another championship contender, ahead of Stephen Paul, just solidifying that GTFG comeback. Toby Byrne for Team ISR will line up in 7th place, and he is ahead of Colin McAllister.
Colin Spencer, the other championship frontrunner, will be behind him, and Gareth Lennon, looking to try to make up some ground. He's kind of had a bit of a on and off season right here. Behind him is the other ISR car of Reynes Mingalis, and behind him is the 2 NRL cars of Christopher Pedersen and Valerio Campagnari, respectively. Ross McFarlane is ahead right there, and Zach Swader, along with Danny Diaz behind, his former team boss.
Martinson will line up in 17th, quite a way off the pace of his teammate, just under half a second off the pace. Kevin Jacobs for AIT, again another driver who is quite far off his teammate. Joshua Wood, again continuing that trend. Craig Evans will solidify that once again in 20th place. Chester Jackson lines up in 21st, and bringing up the rear of the grid is Jonathan Carrera, 1.8 seconds off pole position, and actually Chester and Jonathan were both the only 2 over a second off the pole pace, so traffic issues for the Audi and the BMW at the back of the grid. But we said that, Zach, this is a track I'd expect Jonathan to know quite well, being a big fan of the Super GT series, and as we know from the series, this track produces some very good racing, so I'm sure anything can happen.
Yeah, anything could happen, and hopefully this, he'll have a good race. I mean, we've seen some people come from the back, up to the front here, so obviously he's got some work to do. But yeah, biggest story right here is Nico Foggy and of course Josh Martin are two big points up contenders up in the front row. So I expect those two to be scrapping out and trying to defend the positions as best they can. And of course we got Spen in the back. Hopefully he can make up some points as well, Toby.
Because that's how your grid lines up. The title won't be decided today, but whoever comes out on top on the title battle will be heavily helped out and heavily go in with an advantage into Hockenheim. So it's all to play for here at Autopolis, and it's time to get to the grid. So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to this beautiful circuit in Japan, a great mod made by the name of Patrick on Race Department. Go check him out if you want to come do some offline racing here yourself, but not before you watch the action that is the ISR AIC Round 7 coming at you live here from today. So we can see the front row consists of two Scotsmen, cars number 13 and 147, both with the Scottish flag sitting proudly on their route. So we will see what they can do ahead of the third Scot, Douglas Anderson, behind them. We get ready for those 5 red lights. And they're out now. Here we go. Lights out and away we go. Then it actually looks like Evan Imre has got a much better start than Josh Martin. He will have a chance to go up the inside into turn 1, I am sure. As he comes into turn 1, he's up the inside, but Josh Martin, it looks like he's just going to hold it around the outside. That might give Charles McBee to sniff a little bit. Charles McBee's actually made a place up on Douglas Anderson. So Charles McBee's got Douglas Anderson off the line, as we can see multiple cars going side by side in the background. Stephen Paul trying to make a move on Toby Byrne in the background there. You can see them two side by side. Now Callum Spencer getting involved with Stephen Paul. Colin McAllister trying to look to go all the way around side of the championship leader as well. Not going to happen for him on that occasion. Ryan Melgalis up the inside of Christopher Pettersson gets the job done. Callum Spencer still having to defend from Colin McAllister. As you can see there, Colin's got the outside line and he's got the over on. Can he go all the way around the outside? Yes, he can. Now Callum Spencer under pressure from Rhinus Melgalis. Rhinus Melgalis going to compromise Callum Spencer after that slow run out of there. And Zach, we are well underway and the championship leader is losing positions.
He is, and this is just not what he was wanting right now. As we take a look at our reigning champion here of Nut Martinsson here, he's had a bit of a rough season, has not been able to catch a grip with these DTM cars as we run through the field now. And that looks like right there, Gareth Lennon having a bit of run, and I can't know if that's Christopher Pettersson or Campagnari of the NRL cars, but he's getting another shunt right here behind one of him. And so Gareth Lennon getting like all sorts of run-of-the-mill right here. As we take a look now, that is one of the EQU cars ahead of, I believe this is right here, this is Zach Swader. Oh no, this is Guerrero, my bad. Yeah, Jonathan Carrero losing positions to both EQU cars, and I believe he's about to lose another one to Josh Wood here. So obviously some bumping and banging going on right here at the tail end of the pack here, Toby. But yes, not with our championship point leaders right now, but right now, the big story right now here, we're looking right now, is of course Evan Imre trying to battle it out with Josh Martin up front. Obviously something can go for him as we take a look now. This is the NRL car. I believe this is Pettersson. I can't exactly tell with the side. It's either Pettersson or Campagnari here, but got some work to make out. Those two started technically right next to each other here, so obviously it's kind of spread out between the two NRL cars. But yeah, scrapping out their back, Chester Jackson right here trying to defend off. I believe that was Joshua Wood. And here is Danny Diaz losing a spot to Jonathan Carrero, Toby. But right now, Chuck McBee is going to try to charge down the leader of Josh Martin.
Yeah, of course, he actually still going on very well, and then we've actually missed off camera there somewhere along there. Charles McBee has not made only one position on Douglas Anderson off the line. He's been able to sneak it past Evan Imre for P2, so great stuff by the former podium taker. He took his last podium, remember, for Iron Brew Racing. I believe it was in Snetterton, Season 1. So looking to get another podium under his belt for what will feel like the first time in forever for the American. Douglas Anderson would fancy another podium to help his championship challenge as well. He has another championship contender of Foggy right behind him, so he's got to be very careful in where he makes this move and make sure it is absolutely clean cut and fine, like a good haircut or a good beard trim, because if he messes this up, then Nico Foggy is going to be there to pounce on him. And of course, in the championship bout, you don't want to do that, as actually Colin McAllister's trying to do that on Toby Byrne going into the final section of corners there. He actually got a better run, but unfortunately not an overtaking opportunity. So unfortunate for Colin McAllister on that particular occasion. We're actually riding on board with the Iron Brew car now, getting plenty of slipstream off the BMW ahead, but runs out of straight before he was able to pull alongside, and he'll just tuck in a little bit, calm down. Car's going single file at the moment. As we take a look up and down, we can see championship leader Spencer back there. As the two EQU cars are now going to do a little battle, and as this is your former team, Zach, I'll let you have the honours.
Yeah, definitely. Chester Jackson and Danny Diaz, these two here. Danny Diaz being the team leader after Zach Swader left to join up with his former teammate back in the old Gran Turismo 5 days of Jonathan Carrero to form up the Autobox team. You know, the EQU cars, is funny enough, Toby, you know, these guys have seen success before with Swader back in Canada. They had the 1-2 finish with Swader winning and Danny Diaz respectively following suit behind him. And of course, Toby, Danny Diaz was in the running for the Scirocco Championship. He just had a bad couple of races to exactly like not put him into the points here, but he had a very good, strong first season for Danny Diaz. And obviously, hopefully EQU will return into the rumored Formula Championship the next season for AIC. So hopefully these two will stay in the seats here as we look at Charles McBee trying to once again hunt down Josh Martin here, but I don't know if he's going to have to do something. Josh Martin seems to be running his own race, Toby, and he, of course, we've seen how he's, ran his races before. He had that strong outing at Austria, Toby, and I think Josh Martin is going to be really looking to try to get, another good race here. Of course, he is looking for that championship victory here as we go through the field. Douglas Anderson behind Evan Imre here. And obviously, we're going 4 wide down the front straightaway, Toby. Holy cow, these guys really, it's all going off here in the penultimate race there, Toby.
Yeah, great stuff by Colin McAllister, making up 3 places during that 4 wide situation, went around the outside of everybody. That actually allowed guys to get squeezed up a little bit, and that's allowed Zach Swader to come into the mix. He's going to actually try go at the inside of the championship contender, Nickel Foggy, try play a little bit of interference there, and that's actually a championship battle now, triggering right behind him of Callum Spencer and Nickel Foggy doing battle, so they can't afford to get into too many accidents together because they're both fighting for the championship at this point, and they've got 2 very serious championship rivals up in the points, actually, one of them leading the race. And Callum J. Spencer goes very, very wide. Is that going to allow the NORL car to have a little look? I think it is, because now here comes Valerio Campagnari trying to look around the outside. Callum J. Spencer just gets the power down, but now Valerio Campagnari has the inside for the hairpin, and he gets the job done, mounts to Kevin. He actually makes 2 moves in one, Valerio Campagnari. So Nickel Foggy said we needed to play it cautious for the championship, a bit too cautious there, and the Italian has nabbed 2 places in one corner. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Valerio Campagnari. And as you were saying about Josh Martin, yes, very competent pilot. Recently became a Thrustmaster official pilot. So Thrustmaster launched their esports team, and Josh Martin graduated effectively to their official program as official Thrustmaster pilot. So who knows what that could say for Pro Race UK next season? We don't know yet. But congratulations from the whole of ISR to Josh Martin as we watch Douglas Anderson trying to chase down Evan Imre.
Yeah, Douglas Anderson, he's not, one that shies out of competition, but he'll obviously want to catch Evan Imre here as we take a look at, once again, our current reigning champion. I don't think he'll be crowning the double championship this season. Nut Martinsen has had a struggle season. Oh, we take a look at their sister teams right there, bumping and banging, and whoa, who was that off in the grass? I couldn't tell, I can't tell if this is Craig Evans. I think Josh Martin's teammate. I can't tell who this is. I believe this is. So we can take a look on the side right here, but I believe this is Craig Evans. Toby, I'm not exactly sure, but he right now is in the gravel trap, Toby.
Yep, judging by that roof flag, that is indeed Craig Evans stranded on the outside of turn 1, a bit of a dangerous location. Not sure what happened there, he just banged wheels with his former teammate of McFarlane, and maybe something broke, and that caused the car to not slow down, and he's being beached in the gravel. Didn't really look like it was malicious or anything like that. It just looked like Craig tried to move back on the racing line and squeeze his teammate out, and his teammate, not his teammate, his ex-teammate, didn't want to concede the position, tried to keep it there. Craig just kind of created his own disaster there, and that's an absolute nightmare for a man who's in contention for the championship, because if he can't get that move out of the gravel, Zach, that is no points today. Not what you need when at least one of your rivals is winning the race, another one's in 4th place, and the other 2 rivals are still very much in the race. And the EQU battles, although at the back of the grid, Zach, are exactly still battling away.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something here. But yeah, going back on the Craig Evans, and it doesn't help Toby that his actual one rival is his pretty much his team boss. As we take a look right now, I believe that's Danny. Yep, that's Danny Diaz trying to like make a move on Chester Jackson, but just nothing to it. Chester Jackson, the rookie, obviously he's had a couple of pretty good performances. Right now, safety car has been deployed so they can get Craig out of the gravel trap. So very much, ladies and gentlemen, this is the very first safety car in the AIC championship in its entirety. We didn't have one at all at the Scirocco's. There's some instances that I think arguably we could have had a safety car, but now the safety car has officially launched. We take a look at that beautiful Chevrolet Camaro safety car. That is a fantastic looking safety car. Great choice, respectively, as we go through the field now. So we take a look now with the safety car deployed. Do you think that this is going to put Josh Martin at a disadvantage, Toby? Or do you think he's had the speed to stay ahead of Charles McBee, Evan Imre, and Douglas Anderson?
He definitely had found a rhythm, and with as if anything, many things as a racer can put you off the rhythm. Even just a scheduled pit stop can be quite tricky to get back in the rhythm, especially on new tyres. But this will definitely affect Josh Martin. Where it all comes down to whether one of the oldest men in the grid, we got the safety car, lovely safety car graphic there, and we're going to take a look at some replays, Zach. So here real quick, speaking of the oldest in the grid, he's certainly not pulling old dog. You see, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, there's one for you right up the inside of Evan Imre. That's how he got into second, Zach. And yeah, we'll have to see if he's able to get Josh on the restart, but he certainly looks feisty enough on that replay.
Yeah, that was a fantastic move. And right here, I think we're going 4 wide down the front straightaway here. We see Spencer in the middle. Actually, this is what happens with Craig. Yeah, he tried to chuck off his old former teammate right there, and he obviously just misjudged, I guess, where he was, and that just allowed, pretty much no room for error right there. You obviously got to respect, watching mirrors and know where the other guy is, and obviously that's just, an unfortunate situation for Craig Evans. So obviously no points today, and I'm pretty sure that will be classified as a DNF. So the safety car in this lap, Josh Martin hoping to regain, like you said, safety cars and pit stops really throw off the rhythm when you're a racing driver, and that's something that you obviously want to avoid. But in situations like this, hopefully you got to learn to rebound quickly, and that's something that Josh Martin will definitely need to do, and especially now since he's pretty much got one of his rivals for the championship out of the way, being Craig Evans. He just has to worry about where the others finish, mainly Spencer and Foggy at this point, if I'm not mistaken, the way the points are tallying up. But we're back to racing, green flag back underway. Let's see if Charles McBee can decide to make a move, or do you think he's just going to stay respective as he's trying to make a move, maybe psych Martin out? I don't think that's going to do anything good. So we see Zach Swader, looks like he's going to try to make a move on Toby Byrne. Gareth Lennon making a move on the outside. I don't think that's exactly going to work. You're not exactly going to have enough room for that one. You see Jonathan Carrero battling it out behind them with both the EQU cars behind him. They're still battling it right here. And right here, Spencer looking on the NRL car. We got battles actually brewing all over the place again, Toby. And right there, one of the EQU cars, that's Chester Jackson in the back. He obviously tried to make a move on his teammate right here. He's trying to make it back around, but obviously there's a wall there, Chester. I'm not exactly sure that's actually going to help here. It's almost, as we say, tacky and Nui did at this point here, but obviously, I guess he tried to make a move on Diaz, but that just did not have, I guess his tires just wasn't gripped up when the safety car went back in, as we see McBee trying to make a move once again on Martin here, going through the field here once again. Obviously, he is wanting to make a win and a name for himself. Charles McBee, as you said, he's, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but he's got enough experience with, cars. He's raced a lot in Gran Turismo. He's done a lot of things, and obviously it's not surprising he's been doing a pretty good job in AICs. We take a look now, the lone EQU car being both Chester Jackson and Danny Diaz right now. Obviously, that's a kind of relief of Danny Diaz. That kind of shows you, hey, you got to be a bit calmer when you're trying to make those overtakes here. But yeah, that was an interesting situation for the EQU boys.
Yeah, definitely. Once again, Charles McBee is super, super close to Josh Martin, and that's not the message you'll want to be seeing, is it? Another safety car has been deployed. We must point out the fact that the ISR team is trying new settings with the safety car sensitivity files. So obviously, I think it may just be a little bit too sensitive as they call out. Chester Jackson won't agree with that. It'll be, no, what you're talking about, that's totally safety car worthy. There's another safety car deployed for that. But I guess, I don't know, maybe that could be damage to the barrier. And in many real motorsport aspects, if there is damage to the barrier, the collision is under investigation. We'll see what happened there. But in many aspects, yeah, if there's damage to the barrier, obviously you can't continue racing. So if someone goes off again there, Zach, where the damage barrier is, there's no telling. And of course, that's where the accident is, and there's a big grandstand behind that. So, yeah.
Let's see what happened here, Toby. We see we're trying to believe that's Spencer in front of them. And I believe he's going to try to make a move up. Yeah, I think he just couldn't hit the brakes in time. That's actually, that was Diaz that actually pushed him off right there. I guess Danny just couldn't get on the brakes in time. And as Jackson was trying to make a move on Spencer, they just kind of checked up. And as we can tell, no further action. So obviously the Stewarts indeed in a racing incident, which kind of looked like it to me. They just both checked up. And Danny, I just think, didn't have enough time to react to his teammate trying to react to Spencer going in as they were going into the turn at the same time. Technically, he was trying to make a move on the Welshman, so it just didn't work out for him. Undoubtedly just getting punted to the side by his teammate here. But once again, for the second time today, we are back to racing here. We're on lap 12 of 14. I believe we have got about 3 to 2 laps to go here. 2 laps to go. So let's see if Charles McBee can make a move finally on Josh Martin. He's been attacking Josh for the past 2 or 3 laps, and especially after the first safety car, Toby, he really tried to make the attack on Josh Martin, but just couldn't do anything. And then the safety car came out again, so obviously he just hasn't gotten the rhythm back here. As we go through the field, we see Jonathan Carreros kind of psyching out Tom Spencer. Take a look at now Zach Swader trying to make a move on Toby Byrne, but obviously, and whoa, was that Spencer kind of pushing off Carrero right there, it looked like. That's something that Carrero does not want, but he's going to try to make it. Oh my god, oh my gosh, wow. That, Toby, I think is probably one of the weirdest airborne accidents I have ever seen in AIC, and that was interesting enough. I don't know exactly how that actually happened, if he hit the curbing and it just launched him up into the air, but Carrero going for a ride at this point as we see these cars going single file still. This is going down the back straightaway, I believe, and so McBee will want to try to get into the slipstream of Martin. I don't know if he's got enough room right now. The BMWs have kind of had a bit of a miss issue with the engine power here, but they've got the fantastic brakes and handling. As we can tell, Carrero is looking to try to make amends of what happened with the airborne incident. He's going side by side with, I believe that's Chester Jackson, recovering from his spin. And then we see Joshua Wood. Joshua having a bit of a on and off season for the past few races, though. He's been off into the back here. He's been called Mr. Consistency, but obviously he's had a bit of a rough season here. And I guess he's got some damage or something earlier as he's about to get overtaken. He's just gotten overtaken by Carrero, but he's about to get overtaken by Chester Jackson here. But right now we're coming to the last lap, Toby, and I believe Josh Martin is probably going to have a bit of a gap to Charles McBee. I don't know if McBee's going to have enough time, though.
Yeah, no, Martinson trying to go up the inside of, I believe, that is Valerio Campagnari. So the former champion battling Valerio Campagnari. Both these guys run their own leagues, so that's a different kind of battle. But meanwhile, and that is Gareth Lennon trying to get in on the action, getting squeezed out by Martinson. Not interested. Toby Byrne's going to try and make amends of that and going to try and pounce on the opportunity that is present. And we can see these guys doing so much battling so later on now. Toby Byrne's under pressure a little bit from Nickel Foggy after not being able to make that move side by side with Nickel Foggy, but he'll have the inside for the next line. Will that allow Ross McFarlane to get on it? Yes, it will. Ross McFarlane will try go up the inside of Nickel Foggy. As a result of that, Nickel's got to be careful. He's in a championship battle here, and although it's a 2-lap sprint now on the final lap, Zach, he's got to be a little bit more relaxed than that. As we can see, EQU of Danny Diaz has made up some positions. He's going to try and make another one on Kevin Jacobs, a bit more experience than Jacobs up the inside in the chicane. Will he be able to out-drag him into the next corner? Who is it going to be? Audi Power versus BMW Power? Looks like it's going to be Audi Power just going into the breakers over. Kevin Jacobs tries to come back, not confident enough to keep it on the inside. Didn't want to cause a collision there. Josh Martin going to end the lap off, but look how close these guys are together. The safety cars have really kept everyone nice and close here for the racing this afternoon, and we can see these guys filtering through the final few corners for the final time in Autopolis of Season 2. Josh Martin will come out of the final corner very shortly. It looks like he's going to be able to hold off Charles McBee. The guy tried everything he could, but unfortunately Josh Martin, the youth, had an answer for everything here today. Look at that, coming up to the line, Nut Martinson drag racing with Christopher Pettersson up to the line. Who's going to get it? I think it's just Christopher, Zach. Mega stuff.
That was a fantastic battle right there, but obviously just not enough speed for Nut Martinson to get ahead of Pettersson right there, but obviously enough. Josh Martin gets a win, and that's exactly what he needs here, as he'll be the one to watch next week going out at Hockenheim. Charles McBee just did finished second. I think that's a pretty good finish, if not his best finish, if I'm not mistaken. Evan Emre rounds out the third place, Douglas Anderson fourth, Stephen Paul fifth, Rhinus Mingalis sixth. Colin McAllister makes up some ground to finish seventh, and Zach Sweeter finishing in eighth here as we take a look now. Nickel Foggy throughout the field finished 13th, so he's obviously going to have some rough spots to try to make out for the next race, Toby. He's got some work to make up right here. Danny Diaz and Douglas Anderson finish out in the middle. And of course, Craig Evans, the other DNF, that's pretty much, I think, going to eliminate his championship run, Toby. So unfortunate event for Craig Evans.
It could do, yeah, of course. Craig Evans did score any points, but neither did Nickel and Callum. They're both also in the championship fight, so very good day if you're a Josh Martin or a Douglas Anderson fan, I would wager, in terms of the points they've picked up against their rivals, scoring no points here today. Here are the championship standings then, Zach. 5 points in Josh Martin's favour. Rhinus Mulganis moves up to 5th, Nickel Foggy drops a position to Anderson. So 7 points top covering the top 3 going into Hockenheim, Zach. 16 points covering the top 4, so mathematically, anyone in the top 5, Zach, can still win this championship. And what do you have to say about that? It's a very, if not an identical situation to last season, where anyone in the top 5 can win next time out in the final round. Literally, we had 5 people, albeit not the same people this time, but we had 5 people going into Okayama who could win the championship. And same again this time, Zach. Sometimes history just rewrites itself. Arguably, Mulganis has to win and the rest not score points, but look at the standings too. That NLR and Pro Race UK, this sounds familiar as well, are both tied on points. And remember, last time out, JSR, known then as SLR, only won the championship on best result because they're tied on points with GTFG. And everyone up to Force Fizzy, I think, can still win if they have a better day. But what a championship fight in both championships, Zach, that we've got lined up.
Yeah, that's actually going to be something else. And as we go into Hockenheim, the next, race, Lucky Strike and NRL, as you take a look for the team standings, at least, and we can't, of course, Pro Race UK, they're, tied with NRL, but it's going to be an interesting feat nonetheless for the team standings. But going to the driver standings, like you said, history does seem to repeat itself, as we had the same situation last time. And obviously this time, we got Josh Martin, Colin Spencer, Douglas Anderson, Nickel Foggy, and that, like you said, pretty much with Craig being, the DNF, that's pretty much mathematically kind of eliminated him. So that the top 5 is going to be interesting to play out as we go to the next time out, but it's going to be an interesting feed. I can't make any predictions at this point because, as you saw with Craig, anything can happen, and he was one of the guys being voted for the championship. But obviously, if anything goes from this, Josh Martin is going to be very tough to beat, Toby.
Yeah, Josh Martin's had 2 great performances. Nürburgring is his favourite circuit, so he said that we shouldn't have been that surprised that he dominated there, but he's never driven at Autopolis, so it just shows how well he can adapt in these pressurised situations. But yeah, unfortunately for Craig, Zach, it is actually just 1 point. He's 1 point out of a mathematical chance, so even if he wins and the top 5 don't score a point, he would only he'd only score 25 points, and he needs 26 or more to win the championship. So Craig is mathematically out. That's really harsh to see, but there's still a dark horse in Rhinus Mulganis, Zach, who's 24 points. If the top 5 don't score points and he wins, he will win the championship. So he could be a dark horse. He could be the upset. He's the one no one's thinking about. But Rhinus Mulganis, the Latvian, could easily throw an upset in there as we go into Hockenheim. But I can't wait. Josh Martin has the advantage. But it's going to be super, super fun, Zach, to watch.
It is going to be a fun journey for the last race at Hockenheim, and hopefully it will be just as crazy as it was today. We've seen the first 2 safety cars, Toby, of the ISR AIC season. As like you said, we might need to do some adjustments to the safety car, but it obviously kept things up close, as we've seen, especially in the back of the field, but obviously in the front is where it really matters the most. And I think whoever is the highest person in the point standings, whether or not leading the race, they're probably going to be wanting to see the safety car so they can hopefully maybe try to make up some ground if they're in the back. But obviously, if you're in the front, you don't want to see it. So yeah, very interesting. And if it plays out like anything like it did in Hockenheim, we're going to be in for a fun race next time out.
Exactly. Do not miss next time, ladies and gentlemen. The final, again, is going to be at the Hockenheim Ring. The final for the ISR AIC Season 2. Anyone in the top 5 can win it. We saw heartbreak today in one man, Craig Evans, losing the mathematical chance after looking so strong all season. We have less than 5 points for the team standings at the front. We have 2 guys in NLR and Pro Race UK, sister teams, going into the final round tied on points. Don't count anyone out. Do not miss it next time out at Hockenheim. I've been Toby Byrne, that's been Zach Swader. Thank you, Zach, for joining me in the booth, and what an incredible race Autopolis has set us out for. And I'm so giddy. I'm like a little girl. I cannot wait. Please join us at Hockenheim. Thank you once again, Zach. And until next time, that has been the ISR AIC Season 2. Goodbye.